Hi, hi, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to look at the land registration and general regulations. We will look at what they are, okay, where are they based, okay, or or what are they based on. So the land registration general regulations were made as a result of the Land Registration Act, which we looked at. Uh, if you haven't gone through them, you can check my videos which I made part 1 and 2 about the act. It's basically an act that provides for registration of interest in land. Okay, it explains everything: easements, charges, transfer of land. But the general regulations under section 110 of the Land Registration Act, where the Cabinet Secretary was supposed to make regulations uh, prescribing the forms to be used in connection with the Land Registration Act, the manner and form of registries of land, and the procedures to be followed by them, the procedures for registration and transfer of land from one category to another, the particulars and format to be contained in the register or other document, as well as any other matter that we'll look at, okay, that surrounds registration and the procedure to be followed and the forms that are prescribed, okay, that must be attached, and the accompanying documents. So let's look at the act. Let's look at the regulations. We won't look at everything, but we'll look at most of the substantive applications and the forms that are required, okay, to be followed, to be submitted for registration of interest in land. So, okay, so the Land Registration General Regulations of 2017, okay. We will look at part 2 because we won't look at everything, so I'm gonna just go through everything. Now, I will start with part 2, that is regulation 9. So the land register referred to under section 7 of the act shall contain the property section. So this is talking about the contents of the register. This is important because you might you need to know what is contained in the register. Okay, the register of land is having 3 sections. That is the property section, which explains the disposition, okay, the property that is the interest that is being held in the property. The proprietorship section contains the details of the proprietor, if I'm not wrong, and the encumbrance section contains any kind of cautions if we have inhibitions or any restrictions, charges that are on land, any other, what do you call, overriding interest in land, okay, that is gonna go with the land, okay, that is gonna be transferred with the land in case of any transfer. Now, Section 10, not Section 10, Regulation 10, sorry, contains contents of the property section. So the property section has the registration unit of that property, the parcel number, the block number, the registration section. Mostly this you will see it as LR and the number, okay, the serial number on the place that the land is found. So the approximate area of the parcel, for example, if it's an acre, 2 acres, this by this, they normally come like that. Any easement and analogous rights benefiting or affecting the land. So, so any easement or any other rights that are benefiting that are that are benefiting or affecting the parcel, the use of the parcel. So the property section also includes the use of the parcel, cadastral sheet, cadastral plan, and any other matters. Okay, as may be required. And regulation 11 for sectional units, the property section of a register for a lease. Under section this shall in addition to the details in regulation 10 contain a sectional plan number, a unique suffix number to the section units, approximate floor area of the section unit, approximate area in case of lease of part of the parcel. Regulation 12, the proprietorship section contains the following: a description of the proprietor of parcel, specifying his name. So the proprietor of the parcel of land, or the owner of the parcel, or the holder of the interest is gonna be contained in the proprietorship section: his name, his ID number, his whether he is a natural person or a corporate entity like a company. If it's a company, the registration number of that company, the gender of a proprietor where applicable. If it's a natural person, the postal and physical address of the proprietor for service in Kenya. So all the details that you will need to contact a person will be including in the proprietorship section. Just know that the proprietor is the holder of the interest of the person who is the owner of that property, okay, of that piece of land, and every detail that is required to identify a person: their physical address, email, telephone, ID number, whether he's Kenyan or a foreigner. If it's a foreigner, then by dint of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, he doesn't hold freehold forever. He holds a lease of 99 years. Any inhibitions, cautions, or restrictions affecting the proprietor's right. So this is okay. So I thought these inhibitions go to the encumbrance, but according to the regulations, that is not correct. So any inhibition that is preventing any transfer of the property may be pending a court hearing. That is what my understanding of inhibitions. Cautions, these are like, buyer beware that the property has a caution, meaning it can't be transferred unless with the consent of the person who has placed that caution, or with his awareness. What do you call that? He should know. Excuse me. Any restrictions affecting the proprietor's right of disposition. Disposition is the transfer. Maybe if they sell, the transfer. If someone wants to dispose of the property, these three things I've mentioned will prevent any legal or correct disposition. Okay, any valid disposition. If these are not discharged, the inhibition, the cautions, and the restrictions. which are required to be noted. So that falls under the proprietorship section. Logically, I think it has something to do with the fact that it is the proprietor who placed them, okay, who noted that in the register, so that no right is transferred validly or legally to any person if these three things are not discharged. Okay, such other matters as may be required to be entered under the Act or any other law. So the encumbrance section of a register is the details of any encumbrance or right adversely affecting the land or interest in land. I think these pertain to the interest in land, to the property, while the inhibitions pertain to the proprietor in relation to the property. So the name and address for service of the encumbrance. So, for example, in the case of a charge, where the chargee is a bank, the name of the bank will and the address, let's say National Bank of Kenya or KCB Bank, it will be noted there, or Diamond Trust Bank. And the details of the encumbrance, if it's a charge, that will be noted. Any dealings with the encumbrancer, including matters affecting its priority, capable of being noted on the register. Any easement or analogous rights, okay, affecting the land, okay. Such other matters as are required to be entered. So that is what is contained in the encumbrance section. Any easement, of course, an easement transfers, or an easement goes with the land, okay? It's with the property. So even if it's transferred to the other person, the other person will be bound, okay, by the easement. Now, what else can I say? Okay. So, Regulation 14, subject to the law relating to community land, an application to register a parcel of land as community land shall be accompanied by the document set out in Section 8(1) of the Act. Okay. We'll look at this. Okay. So, I think we have gone straight to community land. That is of the Land Registration Acts. So let's just look at Section 8(1) of the Land Registration Act. Okay, so Section 8(1) of the Act talks about the community land register and says that this register shall have a cadastral map showing the extent of the community land, the name of the community, the register of members of the community, the use of the land, the identity of those members who are registered as group representatives, the names and identity of the members of the group, and any other requirement that shall be required. Okay. All right. So what happens is these documents are supposed to accompany, okay, the application for registration of community land. So these ones, the register of members, the user of the land, the representatives, and their identity and names, as well as a cadastral map and the name of the community. So these are the ones that under community land, section 8 of the Land Registration Act, new company documents for community land registration, including name of community, register of members, representatives, names of members, user of the land. User of the land, I think, relates to the, what do you call, the, it relates to, user of the land relates to the, maybe if the community has given someone permission or occupation, okay, to occupy the land or live there, or maybe if it's to, you know, graze there. So those are the users of the community land. All right. All right, so that is what I'm saying here, my dear. Okay, so we go back to the regulation 16. Regulation 16. Now, regulation 16 talks about regulation 15. The proprietorship section of a register that pertains to community land shall contain the following. So this is talking about contents of the owner section or proprietorship section, while ordinarily the proprietorship section of any other land other than community land would contain the names of the natural person, their address, their telephone, their email, everything, their ID number, and you know, their nationality. If it's a company, the registration number. Here, when it comes to a community, it's not just one person obviously holding that interest. It is a group of people, okay? All right. It is members of the whole community, can be so many of them. So there'll be a register with their names and their IDs. So the name of the community identifier will form part of the proprietorship section of the community land register. Okay, the registration number of the community where applicable. Okay, they'll be given a registration number. Okay, I don't know which number this is referring to, but the details set out in regulation 11 B, C, D, and F. We are going to look at them. No, okay, we have looked at them. 11, let me just check 11. Yeah, B, D, and 11. Oh, yeah, that is, I don't think it's 11, I think I need to say 10. So the cadastral map, cadastral plan, the use of the parcel. Okay, what else? Any other requirements under the Community Land Act 2016 or under any written law? Now regulation 16, the register shall, in the case of an absolute title, be in form LRA2 set out in the 6th schedule. So let's look at this form. Sorry, normally I like to do this because why should we just move on without knowing these things? It's important that we just look at the section from LRA2. This regulation, by the way, half of it is made of forms, and just a tiny bit is the regulations just explain the theory. But a huge part of this, okay, like 3/4 of these regulations are made up of forms. So let's look at form LRA2. Okay, okay, okay. So okay, so form LRA2 is about yeah, it contains this form. This one is just so all over the place, but it's just the register. Okay, it's like it contains it's the land register. Okay, it contains part A, which is the property section, that has all the things we explained that a property section has, the such as the extent or the acreage, that is the area, the number, parcel number, which contains of those like LRA, these things. So the parcel number, the block, the registration section, um, the registration unit, okay. It also has the proprietorship section that contains the name of the proprietor, or the passport number, ID number, PIN number. PIN number, I think, is the KRA PIN. Nationality or country of origin, okay. Nationality or country, who you are, Kenyan or foreign. If it's a company, the incorporation, the country of incorporation, address in Kenya, physical and postal, telephone and email, certificate of incorporation if it's a company, or certificate of compliance number, consideration, sorry, consideration, name of spouse, yeah, name of spouse, signature of registrar. Okay, so that is the proprietorship section. So incumbent section, let me just look at this form, let me just note it down, excuse me. Form LRA2, which has the 3 sections of it's the land register, okay. It has these 3 sections: property, proprietorship, and the, what do you call it, and the encumbrance section. Okay, so encumbrance section has the nature of encumbrance, further particulars, signature of registrar. All right, so excuse me. So, for example, if it's a charge that you would indicate your nature of encumbrance, charge, further particulars, explain. Maybe the chargee, the charger, of course, the charger would be you, the proprietor, but the chargee, the bank, the address, those things. Further particular, the signature of registrar. Okay, so that is form LRA2. Now, let's just go back. Mm-hmm. Regulation 16. Now that is for absolute title, by the way. Absolute title. Absolute. I don't know what it means. Absolute. I think freehold. Okay, it's for freehold. So now that is for a freehold title. For leasehold title, it will be in form LRA 3. Alright, so form LRA 3. Oh wait, wait, just a minute here. I think there are schedules here. So let me just check if I got the right form. I don't think let me just confirm, please. It's schedule 6. Just a minute, sorry, because here I am finding a problem. Because I wondered really, like, how is the land register going to be, you know, the application for transfer of land? Sorry about that. So there are several, so let me just confirm. I could be wrong here. Where is this schedule? Oh, oh, yeah, so I was right. I just panicked for no reason. But yeah, it's right. The form I told you about, the land register, is form LRA2, because other schedules do not have these forms. Yeah, they don't have the forms. Other schedules are just other schedules are like, contain other things. Yeah, so it is. I was right. It is the sixth schedule, and the form is the one I told you, LRA2, which is the land register for freehold titles, that is absolute titles, and it has all the 3 sections I told you, the proprietorship, property, and as well as the encumbrance. Okay, all right, so we move on. The one for leasehold title is form LRA2 3, sorry, and that is the land register for leasehold. So for my form LRA3 is for leasehold, okay, and that is also containing the property section, which has the registration unit, particulars of lease, lessor for individuals, ID number, passport number for body corporate, certificate of incorporation, registration section, PIN number, okay, nationality, address for service, physical and postal. For lessee, they also have their particulars that they are supposed to give, particulars of lease, okay. It also contains you need to show the parcel number, the area, the cadastral, the rent and the term. It's a policy, the rent and the term, okay. From this map sheet number, cadastral plan. For covenants and conditions of the lease, see the registered lease, where the lease is of a part of a parcel. The parcel number refers to the number shown. File plan or field plan, I don't know. So a file plan. And any remarks? any consent required. That is the property section. So the property section has particulars of lessee and particulars of lessor. Okay. Every detail, their nationality, PIN, address, and the proprietorship section has the name of the proprietor, nationality, address, passports, just like the other one, and encumbrance, the nature of encumbrance. Okay, so that is Form LRA3 for leasehold. It has the three sections as well, except in the property section. Property section has details or particulars, details of the lessor and lessee. Okay, so all right, yeah. Now we move on. We move back to the theory, to the theory part, which explains the register. The register of powers of attorney shall be in the prescribed form LRA4. So the register, we saw the register of absolute title, how it looks like. The register of leasehold, how it looks like. Now let's look at the register of power of attorney and see how it looks like. Okay, and these registers are to be maintained by the registries in both electronic form as well as physical. That is for backup, in case of loss, they can be recovered. Okay, I don't know if they post them to the cloud. I don't know if they upload to the cloud just to save them. They if that's the case, then they must have a really huge storage there, like in the millions and trillions. But I don't know how they back up their systems. Okay, maybe we'll find out later. I don't know. So let's look at the how the land register, or these ones are registers. Okay, they are not like forms that you will need when you apply. They are just showing us how the registers look like of various titles. Okay, leasehold and freehold, and now power of attorney, which is from excuse me, LRA4. Okay, let's just look and familiarize ourselves. Mhm, mhm, mhm. LRA4. So LRA4, excuse me, it is for register of powers of attorney. So register of powers of attorney, and it looks kind of very small, with instrument serial number, land title number, donor, donee. Okay, date of presentation, date of registration, date of revocation. That's it. Just 7 column, 3 rows type kind of register. Very simple. Alright, so let's move on. Let's move back, to the regulations. Mm, let's move back to the regulations. Now, part 3. Now, that is the substantive part of power of attorney, how it is registered, what forms are filled. That is Form LRA 6, Form LRA 5. And then there are other two forms, irrevocable power of attorney, that is the one you can't cancel, and then how to revoke power of attorney, there's also a form for that. So when it comes to power of attorney, the disability or an agent of any validly affect a conveyance by having the execution carried out by his attorney. So anyone who is traveled but maybe seeks to sell their property to someone in Kenya, but since they are not in Kenya, they cannot afford to travel just for the execution of that conveyance. They can appoint someone as an agent to do it for them, to execute the documents for them. Can be their relatives, their family, or I think basically anybody they choose of their choosing. So the power may be general or specific. Well, if it's specific, the donor or donee, if it's specific power, it may be power by the donor to donate, to charge or mortgage uh, his particular piece of land. So where it is specific, it has specific purpose. If it is to charge or mortgage the land, and that is purpose will be indicated, those activities will be indicated. It may be power to lease or to transfer. General power of attorney is management or managerial, that they donate. Sorry, they okay. Is it they donate? Is the donee can manage the estate or some total assets of the donor due to disability, distance, or preference. Uh, they can sign, execute documents in the donor's name. Okay, it can be brothers and sisters. Okay, who act on behalf of their siblings. What is the effect of power of attorney? Enables one to use another's property as one's security by a charge or mortgage. So, for example, this is a situation here where uh, the donee can charge or mortgage their relative's land. If it's a son, his father's land. The power may be revocable or irrevocable. Irrevocable cannot be terminated by the donor by himself. So, for example, where the son proceeds to charge or mortgage the father's property, okay, and the bank normally prefers the irrevocable power of attorney, which cannot be revoked because the borrower cannot do it by himself. The requirements are the full names and addresses of the donor and the appointed attorney must be stated in the power of attorney. Okay, so the full address and the full names of the one who is donating the power. So let's see, the power of attorney must be executed in accordance with the law. It must also be stamped, so there's a stamp duty. That is, we just check the stamp duty and see what it is for the mm, 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 okay. Okay, this is taking so long. I don't know why. I'll just use the markers to get it quickly. Mm, yeah, so I found it, just a minute. Stamp duty. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing for power of attorney. I don't know. Don't know why it's not here. Hmm. Okay, it's not here. Let's move on. Okay, let's just move on and look at how it is registered, because that's the reason why we are doing this. So that is, if someone wants to register according to Regulation 17, a power of attorney, they will submit Form LRA 5, okay, that is for the general power of attorney set out in the 6th schedule, okay. So Form LRA 5, let's look at, let's familiarize ourselves. Form specific master power of attorney, Form LRA 5 for registration. Okay, so okay, LRA 5. Now this form is for general power of attorney. This is the form you submit if you wish to register this, okay, with the land registrar. So it has the title, okay, with the date received, presentation number, official fees paid, the receipt number, general power of attorney, title number, date of instrument. So it contains the title number, okay, first, then the date of instrument, registered proprietor or donor, who is the donor, okay, or who is the person in whose name the title to the property is indicated, the donee, okay, the name of the donee. So the name of the donee, the postal address, registration number if it's a company, address for service, telephone number, email address, okay. Then it contains a statement that says like this: the donor hereby appoints the donee to be the attorney of the donor and generally in relation to the donor's interest in the above mentioned title to do anything and everything that the donor could do and for the donor and in the name of the donor to execute all such instruments and to do all such acts, matters and things as may be necessary or expedient for carrying out the powers hereby given, signed as a deed by the donor. So the donor will sign day of, if it is by the donor, this day of, for example, if it's today's 2nd of April 2022, execution in witness whereof this power of attorney has been duly executed. This is a 2nd day of April 2022. Okay, alright, so that is the form. Then it doesn't end there. We have signed and sealed by the donor in the presence of the advocate. Okay, so we have signed and sealed by the donor in the presence of the advocate, passport size colored photograph, ID number, PIN number, signature and seal of the advocate, then certificate of verification. I certify that the above named appeared before me on the 2nd day of April 2022 and being shown to me, being identified by acknowledge the above signatures or marks to be his, hers, theirs, and she, they had freely and voluntarily executed this document, and understood its content, signature, and designation of person certifying, okay, signed and sealed by the donee in the presence of, so the donor signs, okay, the donor signs and the donee signs in the presence of an advocate, and the advocate posts his ID, PIN, as well as signature. I don't know if this is for the advocate or the donee's passport size. Let me just check because let me just check an executed, what do you call, a sample of power of attorney form LRA 4. Sorry, LRA 5. General power of attorney. So let me just look for a sample. Sample of sample general of attorney form LA5. Let me just look for it. Opportunity. Okay, so we have an example here for general power of attorney, a sample, and it says it starts like this: Republic of Kenya, land parcel number, Mombasa, Kisayo 1464. Okay, okay. Then it goes on like this. I, Jeffrey Wilson, holder of passport number 345678 and post office number 7550 Mombasa in the Republic of Kenya, do hereby nominate and appoint Radol Julie of ID number 27834596, Post Office Box number 6080, Mombasa, in the Republic of Kenya, to be my true and lawful attorney in relation to my interest in the purchase of the above-mentioned property, to do anything and everything that I myself could do. This is to be done for me. Okay. Okay, so this is to be done for me and in my name to execute all such instruments. So there's slight variation. This sample is more wordy, like there are more words compared to the form NRA 5. Yeah. So this is to be done for me in my name to execute all such instruments. Okay. All such instruments and to do all such acts, matters, and things as may be necessary or expedient for carrying out the powers hereby given, and I hereby undertake from time to time and at all times to ratify and confirm whatsoever my said attorney shall lawfully do or cause to be done under or by virtue of this power of attorney. So what happens is that I hereby undertake from time to time and at all times to ratify and confirm whatsoever my said attorney shall lawfully do, okay, or cause to be done under or by virtue of this power of attorney. So you can see that the variation there. So then you move on and say, in witness whereof, okay, this I in witness whereof I have here and to set my hand and seal this 27th day of March 2019, signed and delivered by the said Jeffrey Wilson in the presence of advocates. Then there is like a place for them to sign. Drawn and filed by Radol and Company Advocate, Sila Plaza, 4th floor, Mombasa. And then we also have, okay, so that's it. I don't see. Okay, I think now I understand. Maybe this one is the form that you draw. Okay, but I think that is the agreement. Okay, that is signed. Then while you are submitting to the registrar for registration, you are required to maybe attach Form NRA 5 because look, there is hardly, well, the Form NRA 5 contains passport size current photographs, the which I'm not sure whether it is by the advocate, excuse me, or the person, the donee and donor, I don't know, and donor. So this one doesn't have any, it's just one signature by the donor alone. So that one is a bit disappointing. I expected it to be complex, like, but I really don't understand why it's just so simple. It's too simple. But you can see there are some similarities as to the words that were used. For general, it is to do all such acts, okay, execute all such instruments. So the language is very general, okay, in relation to this, the matter. If it is purchase or sale, he will execute on your behalf and do anything to effect that transaction, okay, on your behalf. So you can see here, okay, you can see that the words used is general, just like the words used are general, just like the name suggests, and all encompassing, because it's all such instrument, all such acts. There's no like, we'll see when we look at specific power of attorney next how the words will be different, because the specific power of attorney will list down the things the agent is allowed to do. So I just saw another form here, but it's not free. You're supposed to buy it. It's drafted by a lawyer. I can't access it. It's quite expensive too. So it's used the format of the Land Registration General Regulations from LRA 5. It's an exact replica, except they are not disclosing the whole of it because I have to buy it. I'm not gonna do that. So it's just the same, the title number, date of instrument, registered proprietor, their name, their registration number, physical address, that is donor, and the donee, the name, registration number, and then that statement, the donor hereby appoints the donee to be the attorney of the donor. Okay, yeah, so they gave us like a little preview, but man, I wish they just gave us the whole of it for free, just for learning purposes. Oh, I can't purchase. No, no way. No way. No. No. Nothing is for free, even for learning purposes, which sucks because how else will we get the forms, to see them? It sucks a lot. There's no way we can see or learn because everyone is asking for money. But I would say that as long as you use the correct words and you have a place where the donor signs, where the donor signs in the presence of the donee, of an advocate, I don't think there's any problem. Okay, so finally, the form LRA has that nice place below that talks about that is, I think, to be filled by the registrar because it's registered in the register of powers of attorney as number this day of this, signed the land registrar, seals, okay, seals that form with his name, the registrar's stamp number, and his sign, drawn by the notes. There are like there's a place for notes. I don't know. Okay, so that is form LRA 5. Excuse me. Details. Let me just write the summary of the form. Details of donor. Details of donor. Then you say the statement. I'll just call it statement, which is the donor. Hereby appoint the donor to be the Attorney General. Sorry, not the Attorney General. The Attorney of the donor. Oh, my mind is far away. And generally, in relation to the donor's interest in the above mentioned title. Okay. To do anything and everything that the donor could do okay, could do, and for the donor in the name of the donor. To execute all such instruments and to do all such acts matters and things as may be, necessary or expedient. For carrying out the powers hereby given. All right. In the presence of advocate. Okay. All right. So that is that. We move on. Okay. So we've seen what we have. Okay. Let's just move on now. We move on to specific power of attorney. Okay, so specific power of attorney is LLS6. That is specific power of attorney. Form LLS6 specific power of attorney. Okay, now the form is LRS6 and it has the same title. The specific power of attorney, the title number, date of instrument, the registered proprietor or donor. So you will have the name of the donor, the name of the donee, yeah, just like that one. Okay, name of donor, ID, address, name of donee, ID, address, and the statement. Oh, before the statement, there's a section that says the power limited to the following. So the list, yeah, the list of specific acts that he is supposed to do. So that is power limited to the following. Okay. So Donnie has power to do the following acts, specific acts. Okay. Donee has power to do the following acts in the name of the donor. Okay. Then you state 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many they are. Then what is followed is the statement, which is the donor hereby appoint the donee to be the attorney of the donor and to perform the specific act noted above, okay, in relation to the donor's interest, all right, in the above mentioned title, and within the scope in the name of the donor. So this one is very limited to the specific act which we noted, and it's not gonna go beyond that. In the name of the donor to execute all such instrument and to do all such acts, matters, and things as may be necessary or expedient for carrying out the powers hereby given. Okay, so you can see that in the specific power it is quite limited to the act which you have mentioned and nothing more. Okay, nothing more. Okay, so that is formula A6. Then there is something we call irrevocable power of attorney, form LRA 7. Yeah, it has the same build as the others, with the donor's name and particulars, the donees. Then we have consideration. There's a box for consideration which was not there in the former, what do you call, in the former forms. in the other two forms. So it reads like this: in in consideration of dash from the donee to the donor, receipt whereof is hereby acknowledged by the donor hereby appoints the donee to be the attorney of the donor and generally in relation to the donor's interest in the above mentioned title to do anything and everything that the donor could do, and for the donor and in the name of the donor to execute all such instruments, to do all such acts, matters, and things as may be necessary or expedient for carrying out the powers hereby given. The power granted, then there's a statement here which says the power granted herein is irrevocable, signed as a deed by the donor on this day, in witness whereof this power of attorney has been duly executed this day of this, signed and sealed by the donor in the presence of the advocate. Okay, and in the presence of the advocate by the donor, registered in the register of powers of attorney as number this of this of this, signed by the land registrar. So the thing is here, when it comes to irrevocable power of attorney, I think is the one we mentioned where your son can mortgage or charge your property, okay? Your land, you can mortgage or charge the land on behalf maybe of your parent, and then as they're doing, okay, then the bank now prefers this irrevocable power of attorney as they hold this power over your land, maybe to to exercise the power they have in case maybe of default, okay, so they can sell and recover their monies. This power is not revocable by the donor himself. So maybe the consent of, I'm not sure of the process, but the consent of the bank is needed to revoke it, and the bank prefers this because then you cannot change your mind, okay? And then there's consideration here, which the bank maybe you took, of course, if it's you took a loan, that is the charge, or you mortgaged your land, you took money from the bank, okay? So they are holding this power over your property. But then I ask myself, why not just proceed to have a charge instrument instead of opting for the power of attorney? I still don't know why, but sorry. So this is this. There is the difference is in consideration of this, in consideration from the donee to the donor. Receipt whereof is hereby acknowledged. The donor hereby appoints the donee to be the attorney of the donor and generally in relation to the donor's interest in the title to do anything and everything that he could do for the donor and in the name of the donor to execute all such instruments and to do all such acts and things as being necessary for carrying out the powers. All right. So you can see that there's a notice after the specific power of attorney and the irrevocable power of attorney that is normally said in the case of charges. Sorry. So here, then this is followed by the notice of revocation of a power of attorney. Okay, where an applicant seeks to revoke the power of attorney, and it has this same build except that there is the applicant name and the registered proprietor or donor's name, and then the donor's name or particulars. That is ID, passport, PIN. If it's a company, then their registration number. And the applicant attaches the following document in support. So that is what they'll do. ABC, where the applicant noted above hereby give notice that the power of attorney filed in the register of powers of attorney as number this has been revoked. So this is after the applicant has applied for revocation, but I don't know the process he would do that. But this is the notice. He gives the notice to the. Oh wait, but this is the process of revocation. I think he gives the notice to the land register, and he says the applicant, that the applicant has revoked because because he indicates the following documents in support thereof. I don't know. So the applicant noted above hereby give notice that the power of attorney filed in the register of powers of attorney as number this has been revoked. Number that is A, by the donor or by the death, bankruptcy, disability of the donor, or by the death, disability of the donor. Okay. And the applicant attaches the following documents in support thereof: ABC, execution, in witness whereof this revocation of power of attorney has been duly executed this day of this, signed by the applicant in the presence of this. Okay. In the presence of the advocate, ID, passport number, PIN number, signature, certificate of verification, the advocate verifies, then the signature and designation of person certifying, the register here, again the registered in the register of powers of attorneys number this and this, and that concludes the types of the specific power of attorney. Mm, okay, so that's it. There's a notice and then a notice and the irrevocable power of attorney. Those are the two extra things. All right. Right, so we move back to the to so that was the request form 8, and 8 is request. If you request the registrar to revoke the power. Request form. Okay. So all this is the application process or request. Whoever wishes to register this specific powers of attorneys must be submitting these forms. Remember, individual is not party. Granted a company, the power must be executed under seal. No, they do not grant for company. Oh. So we have registration under the register. That is part 4. We said we are going to look at this substantive part. We've looked at part 2. We've looked at part 2, part 3, which is power of attorney. Now we are in part 4. Wow, we are moving. Part 2, part 3, part 4. Now, part 4 is about registration under the register. So, part 4 is registration process, applications, documents in support, So that is that. We are going to move. This is the substantive part because it's the longest. So, registration under the register, that is Regulation 21, except when an instrument has been prepared by the registrar. Every instrument presented for registration shall be accompanied by an application for registration in the prescribed form. So, there is the application to the registrar. You must apply to the registrar. Okay. Now, application for registration to be in prescribed form. Any application made under the Act or these regulations for which no other application form is prescribed must be made in Form LRA 9 stated. So, if there is no application form, prescribed, you use LRA 9. LRA 9 is the default. So let's look at this. So LRA9 is like this. LRA9 is to be filled in quadruplicates, that is four copies. Then you would write the uh, uh, item, registration fee, title fee, total amount, receipt number, amount. That is for official use only. The conditions on the back of this form shall be complied with. So, Republic of Kenya, the Land Registration Act, the Land Registration General Regulations, General Application for Registration. I hereby apply for the registration of the under-mentioned instruments in the following order of priority. Date of instrument, description, title, booking number for official use only. So you would indicate the date of execution of the instrument, the description, the title number, okay, booking number that is for official use. So you won't fill in this. So date of instrument description, this is for official use, the first column, the first rows. Then we apply for certificate of title or certificate of lease. Okay, you would write here what you apply for. The following documents are enclosed. Document or instrument which you will say provide a list of all the documents provided to support registration. For example, your ID, your PIN number, where you have paid stamp duty, you would, what do you call? Is it a receipt of the payment you attach? Payment of stamp duty if it's compliance, what do you call the completion documents? Compliance, not the compliance rates and rent clearance, all those things. If you are registering uh, a transfer of land, okay. Mm, then you would mm, then you would yeah. So then the registrar will fill the title number, the whether confirmed or not. So name in block letters, in block capitals, postal address, email, tel number, signature, date, special. Okay. Signature, special instructions including in appropriate cases the name and address of the person to whom the documents are to be sent, further than the presenter, the conditions. Okay. So conditions. Every instrument present for registration unless it has been prepared by the registrar must be accompanied by this form. The form must be completed in triplicate accurately in accordance with these conditions. Failure to do so may result in rejection of the application. The information supplied by the presenter must appear legibly in English. If registration is sought at different registries, separate applications. Separate applications accompanied by the instrument must be addressed to each. Delete from the list of enclosed documents those which are not appropriate and add any additional enclosures. Fees must be paid before you submit the application. So you would attach a receipt. Then applications may be submitted as follows: by post, addressed to the appropriate register; by hand, delivered at the appropriate registry. The priority of registration is not established until the application is received by the land registry and a booking number is provided. So you would get a booking number. Documents presented for registration after they have been rejected must be accompanied by a fresh set of forms of application duly completed. The documents shall be presented by either party to the transaction or an authorized agent. For purposes of this application, an authorized agent means a person registered by a professional body. Okay. So either party can submit the document or an advocate, okay, for official use only. to the undermentioned presenter. The document presented for registration and returned to the registered documents applied for. Dispatch received. The document presented for registration are returned and registered. I'm unable to register because, so if they have the registrar does not register, he will indicate the reason and then his name and sign. Date received. Okay, so that is form LRA 9. And I just give an example of transfer, but I'm sure transfer has its own form. Transfer has its own form. It is form LRA 33. Okay, so it's this form. Excuse me, this form LRA 9 is for all the what do you call all the for it is for those that have not been given any forms, anything you want to register which doesn't have a prescribed form provided, then you would use the default form LRA 9. But for transfer, it's LRA 33. We'll see it later. Okay. So that is that. That is that. Let's take a break. I'll be back in a short one. I don't know how to post this, but I think I'll just end the stream and then come back as part 2, because we can't like finish this all in one sitting. Bye.